Hello everyone, welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm of course your host TJ, coming for you to do a film review today. I haven't done one of those in a bit. I'm doing Opus today, which is the 2025 film written and directed by Mark Anthony Green. Man, I really wish I could say that I enjoyed this movie or that this is going to be a positive review, but neither of those is going to be the case. In short, it stars Ayo Edebiri as Ariel Ecton, who's a sort of aspiring journalist who gets an invitation to go to the compound of this like diva pop genius from the 90s named Alfred Moretti, played by John Malkovich. As it turns out, Malkovich is like an egomaniacal monster kind of running a cult. And so also there are all sorts of other people who are also in the cast who are great. There's Juliette Lewis, Murray Bartlett, Tony Hale. Really kind of a star-studded cast when you think about it. But man, this movie is a disappointment on almost every level. It has all the ingredients of like an Ari Aster film, but nothing that really sets it apart or that makes it succeed in that regard. There are some twists and turns, some plot twists, some sinister revelations about what kind of person Moretti really is. But it all doesn't really add up to a great deal, and it's not a very substantive or really insightful movie. Not that every movie has to be insightful. I'm not saying every film has to have like a point or some sort of large overarching philosophical heft to it, but it does sort of like, when it's so inconsequential and when I'm just kind of left puzzled as to what the point of this movie was, I'm just sort of like, okay. I mean, there's all sorts of scares, there's sort of, sinister moments that in a more sophisticated or even more thoughtfully put together film would be like, oh wow, this is really great, this is really terrifying. But it's neither particularly like enlightening or even all that scary. Like even the more like suspenseful moments are dispensed with so quickly that you're just sort of like, what did I just watch? Like where is this adding up to? And like I said, I draw the comparison to Midsummer in particular because that's sort of what the vibe it's going for. It's like, oh, there's this compound with these creepy people that seem to be worshiping this pop star. There's a creepy puppet show with embalmed rats and I don't know, all sorts of like pieces that in isolation almost work, but together they don't even add up to much that's really worth writing home about. Now, I will say that I do enjoy getting to see Ayo Edebiri stretch her drama muscles. Like, I think that this does showcase her skills as someone who, she plays these characters that are sort of out of sync with the world, and they always seem vaguely confused or perplexed by the world in which they find themselves, even though they are very brilliant and skilled at what they do. She's clearly a journalist who has a keen eye for detail and an investigative perception. But the real star of this movie is John Malkovich. Like, I love the way that Malkovich creates these absolutely unsettling and very terrifying characters. And Moretti, I think, is arguably one of his most bizarre creations. He is an egomaniacal genius, charismatic. There's shades of, say, Elton John, also L. Ron Hubbard, and like all these other kind of figures that tie into it, and I think that he's clearly drawing on. And, when he's on the screen, he's captivating. He, dispenses with nice little witticisms. He commands the stage. It's all, of course, spoiler alert, I'll pause for a moment. It's all a scheme to draw together these journalists and paparazzi who shamed him or scorned him in some way, so he kills them all as a sort of like ritual sacrifice, even as he's also sowing this sinister cult that's going to basically take over the world. I don't know. Like I said, there's not a lot of heft to it, and I'm just sort of like, okay. So I was really disappointed at how flimsy it was, but it was worth it, at least for the John Malkovich performance. Every time he's on the screen, I just could not look away, and I was like, this man is deliciously deviant, and I love characters like that. I think that, I think I might do a queer villains spotlight sometime on him. I mean, I don't know if the movie really warrants that much investigation, but I do think that Malkovich's performance is worth celebrating, because he really is giving it all to create this very much person who is convinced that he is the avatar of artistic beauty and that can change the world and all this other stuff. He's kind of convinced that the world needs to be led by artistic types as opposed to the left brain militarism. I don't know, like I said, that comes in as sort of the third act conclusion, and I'm just like, nah, I don't think that really has much weight to it. Like I said, in a smarter, more artfully constructed film, this would have been a very chilling commentary on celebrity culture and how celebrities can sometimes become these figures of influence. But as it is, it just kind of falls limp at the end, and I was just kind of left wondering why I watched this movie to start with. I don't regret watching it. I think it's sometimes helpful to watch bad movies so we understand what good movies look like. I just think that we deserve better when it comes to thrillers, and I think Itabiri deserves better than this kind of dramatic fare. But hopefully this, she'll be able to get other movies that are better than this one. But if you are tempted by a film that is basically a season of American Horror Story but not as campy, then maybe this movie will be of interest to you. I also, like I said, Malkovich maybe is worth the price of admission. I just wish that the movie around him was more worthwhile. So, it gave me some feelings. We all know about that at Pisces Guide to Pop Culture, but ultimately, I fear that it does not get the coveted Pisces Guide to Pop Culture seal of approval. So, alas, I will not be able to really advocate for this film, but like I said, if you have a morbid sense of curiosity, it's streaming on HBO Max, so, give it a watch. It's only an hour and 40 minutes, so it's not a huge time investment, but anyway. So thanks very much for joining me, as always. I am TJ, the host of the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. It was good to see everyone, and take care, y'all.